What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and this is an unboxing and review of the Nerf Rival Charger. So Nerf has come out with a P90 styled Rival blaster, and I think that's pretty darn sweet. This thing looks pretty darn awesome. May not be the most practical Rival blaster out there, but is definitely cool looking. So cannot wait to see what this thing's all about. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the box real quick. It is advertising 95 FPS velocity, so just a little lower than your normal Nerf Rival blasters. That may have something to do with the battery source, but we'll get to that in a second. Nevertheless, it is a flywheel powered blaster, so that's pretty darn sweet. I can already see our jam doors right there, so you can take a peek at the flywheels. Pretty sweet. We do have 24 rounds that will be coming with this blaster, so that's cool. So they're actually going to be giving you twice as many rounds as what this blaster can hold, so I think that's pretty sweet. We'll go ahead and turn this thing around and check out the back of the box. You can see it says 12 round capacity. It's an integrated magazine on the top there, so that's really cool, I think. It is motorized, like I said, flywheel powered. Does show the takedown Rival blaster that I just did a review on, so I'll put a link to that above, and definitely check that blaster out because it's pretty darn sweet also. But let's go ahead and crack this baby open. All right, you guys, so this blaster seems to be pretty darn sweet. The size of it is awesome in my opinion. It's actually a little larger than I expected it to be, which is good because that stock length is perfect in my opinion. So that's really cool. We do have a rev trigger down here. The grip is a little small, but I think that's just the design. It isn't uncomfortable, but it's a little smaller than most of your Rival blasters, just more compact, but that's that P90 style. We have our firing trigger up here, which is very interesting, very beefy trigger, very thick. We have a little trigger lock underneath here. So if you pull that back, your trigger is locked, but if you push it forward, your trigger will be unlocked, but you do have to pull that rev trigger to allow you to pull the main trigger. This is a semi-auto blaster, so similar to like a Zeus, I guess, or a Hera possibly. So we will go ahead and pull this back and load up our 12 rounds, 12 of our 24 in here. And the loading door is a decent size, but it's not that big. It looks like you could do maybe 2 rounds at once, which is nice. So load it a little bit quicker. But we will go ahead and load this thing up, and then we will throw in our 6C batteries back here. This does not take the rechargeable battery pack, unfortunately. So that's a little bit of a downside to this blaster, but to get it into this form factor, I think that's what they had to do. And we will load those up, and then we'll see what this thing's all about. All right, you guys, so we have the balls loaded up and the batteries inserted, and now with those batteries in there, it is a bit back heavy and does put a lot of weight in the bottom 2 fingers of my grip. The grip is a little small. It's not the most comfortable Rival grip in my opinion, but you know, it's a P90 blaster that if you like that style, you'll probably like this okay, and I think it will be much better when I rewire this for a lipo, because that will lessen the weight in the back end. So I would recommend that probably if you buy this blaster, that you might want to think about rewiring it to a lipo, because those batteries are pretty expensive to replace over and over again. So other than that, I think the blaster is great. We have a Rival rail on top there. We have our jam door on the side here, so you can clear out any jams. That's pretty cool. There's also like these iron sights up here that are there. I'm not sure how useful they are, but you know, it's something. It adds a little cool look. I kind of like this front orange part here. It does have a bit of a spot here, so you can kind of rest your finger off the trigger well, which is kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of the Jupiter a little bit like that. So I think that's a neat design. We do have a sling point actually down here, kind of an interesting, kind of very hidden down there. So you could put a 1-point sling right there and sling your blaster. And other than that, it's a pretty straightforward blaster. It's solid blue. There is only white paint on the rival logo there. There's no other paint on the blaster. And this blaster will only be available in blue, just like the Takedown is only available in red, at least as of the point of me doing this review. Who knows, they may come out with more blasters in this blaster in different colors years from now, which is an interesting choice. I feel like usually when they do that, they come out with the Phantom Core line, so I'm not sure why they decided that, but it is what it is, and you know, if you're a modder, you can always change the color of blaster and make it look better anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's go ahead and fire this baby off. Well, I must say it has some pop. Seems to be performing pretty well. Let's go ahead and take this thing outside, put it over the chronograph in the range, and see what kind of performance it's getting. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and put some shots over the chronograph with the charger, see what kind of performance it's getting. It is definitely a pretty solid blaster. Those batteries just throw me off every time when I put them in there. It just becomes much more heavy than I'm used to, but once we rewire this for a LiPo, that won't be an issue at all. And if you want to see a mod guide to that, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe I can do one of those, but let's go ahead and see what kind of performance it's getting. 97, 106, 101, 100, 99, 102, 102, 102, 96, 100, 98, 100, and we're out. And I'm gonna leave it with the 12 rounds that it holds there because it is a very wet, rainy day out and the balls are just getting muddy and dirty. So let's check out those ranges. So the accuracy is just not quite as good with the flywheel blasters, but short one there at 64 kind of curved to the right. These also rolled a little bit, so keep that in mind. But we have a few here around 68. And then we come up here, we have a nice grouping here between like 70 and 72 feet. And then one here at 74, and then the furthest, these probably just rolled a little further. That one went 80, and this one went just short of 82, about 81.5 feet. So, you know, pretty good performance out of the blaster, better than what they advertised. I would say it's hitting 100 FPS, better than the 95 it says on the box, so pretty impressive. Let's go back inside and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, you guys, so I think this blaster is pretty darn sweet. Very comfortable. It is a little back heavy with those batteries. I mean, I'm not too worried about that because I will be rewiring mine for a LiPo to make it a lot more comfortable and more, you know, just a little lighter and more balanced in my opinion. When it is in stock form, it does get pretty heavy there and it puts a lot of pressure, in my opinion, on those bottom two fingers. They seem to have to hold most of the weight. So I would recommend, if you purchase this, to think about rewiring it, because buying batteries for this thing over and over again is going to get expensive, obviously, and the weight is just not ideal. Other than that, I think it's a pretty sweet offering. It is a very nice length, very comfortable, very compact, very P90-S blaster, which is a very comfortable platform. The one thing that I found to be a little strange is when you look down the barrel here, the flywheels are actually off-centered, so you're more firing out of the right side of the blaster than in the middle. And you can even see that there with the hole there, more on the right side. So I'm not sure you'll notice that too much when playing, but you may. The blaster isn't super accurate just because it's rival rounds, and when you fling them out of flywheels, the spin up, they just tend to curve a little bit. But it is a little weird that they did that, but I'm guessing it kept the form factor thinner doing it that way and more symmetrical. So, you know, it is what it is. It's not a huge gripe, but it is something interesting and not something they normally do. But yeah, other than that, I think the blaster performs great. It was actually getting better FPS than they said it would, and better than I expected it to off of, you know, 6C batteries. Now, these are brand new right out of the box, so obviously as you use the blaster more, the performance will go down when you're using stock alkaline batteries, but another reason to rewire it for a LiPo so you don't have to deal with that issue. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. It really helps out the channel and really helps my channel grow, so I'd greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, ring the bell for notifications. And as always, peace out.